Yo, what's going down, everybody out there in YouTube land? Triple B's is back in the Haunted Basement Studio, and welcome and thank you for joining me today. And yes, I am back in black, baby. So, yeah, we're gonna talk slasher, ripper, speculation. Who is the widow? With only 2 more episodes left, and I got a list of characters right here that we are going to go down. So let's get right down and see who is the widow. Alright, man, so let's go right down the list. We got Basil Garvey, who is the richest and most powerful dude in the city. And next we got the detective, who is a green cop, let's say it. Kinda doesn't know what's going on, and all of a sudden fell into the shoes of being the superintendent, Kenneth the detective. And next we got the Botticelli sisters. We got Viviana and Benita. And they assumed were rich at one point, but are now not rich anymore. They're broke. And so broke where they're willing to sell their half sister, Birdie, just to save their house. And then next we have Mrs. Simcone, and she is an actual widow from Alistair Simcone, our first victim of the widow. So she is also being comforted by the pastor May Jr. So we'll see what's going on with them two. And next we got the great George Rondone and his assistant Shanika. And he is the magician and an illusionist. And he was there at that party 12 years ago, which we'll get into later. And then who else do we got? We got Birdie Botticelli, who came across the big pond from Boston. So she is there, but she's been mind controlled by her fucking vindictive ass sisters. And who else is that? I think that's it. So now let's get into some speculation of the Ripper. Who the fuck is the widow? Alright, let's break down the information that we got so far. And who likely is the widow? Maybe it is Margaret herself. The widow has been targeting individuals who were responsible for Margaret's death 12 years ago. Mr. Garvey is known not to like Margaret. And Viviana and Benita held the party at that night where Margaret was humiliated. And that was done by George Rondone. And then later on, we know that Basil wants George to hypnotize Margaret again, but this time he wants it to be more permanent. So we know that there's this vendetta against Margaret 12 years ago, and we gotta figure out the mystery of that, what happened for Margaret to come back. Is it her ghost that's coming back, coming through Mrs. Simcone in the seance? That is something that we can really think about. Like, is Mrs. Simcone actually being, used as a vessel for these spirits to come through her and she can speak? Because the last episode we had Terrence, and in the earlier episodes we had Alistair come through. Is she just acting, or is this really happening? And if it is really happening, did Margaret come through her and possess her at night, and then she's going out and doing these killings? That is a very good thought to think about, wouldn't you say? And also, Mrs. Simcone is a widow herself, and her husband, Alistair Simcone, was the first victim of the widow. So could she have found out about his doings in the Queen's chamber, his dominatrix, what he did to Margaret? Because let's fucking break it right down. We know that I believe that Alistair Simcone is the motherfucker that killed Margaret because they led her there to his room in the Queen's chamber, and even the chief sat there and lit a cigar and watched some of the torture going down. And I bet the torture went down way too much, and maybe this is what Basil wanted. He wanted to hypnotize her, to her maybe forget about the torture that she, got. I don't think that's it at all. I think that she found out about what he liked to do with his dominatrix stuff, where he probably liked to get whipped like a little baby or something like that, that crazy shit. And there was pictures of that Edith got in the second episode. So they kind of want to make you forget about that, because that was in the very beginning of our story of the Ripper. Which makes me want to stay on Basil Garvey. He was there 12 years ago, and he was the one that wanted Margaret humiliated by George's hypnotizing trick, his mind game. And we know that he led her to Alistair Simcone's domination room. And we know that she had some dirt on him, and she wanted money from Basil, and that's why he led her there. And maybe he did want her to get killed by Alistair Simcone. So, he is the ringleader of all these people, and Basil is the widow because he wants all the people that was involved in Margaret Maherne's death to be killed. So there's nobody that can rat him out, and he is fucking playing it really smart behind bars, but the detective is holding him in. So it could be Mr. Garvey. Alright, so we know that Horatio, Terence, and Solomon were all together in the Queen's chamber, and they're all dead. And then we had the chief and the detective. They were together in the beginning of the series, but the chief is now dead. And so we got George and Shanika. They were together and they're still alive, but we have not seen Shanika in a few episodes. So that make you want to forget about her. And then we got Viviana and Benita, and they've been together the whole time, and they are still alive. So we got Birdie, and she's by herself, but with all the mind control manipulation, she's still alive, trapped in Mr. Garvey's house, and she's trying to get away. And at the end of the last episode, we saw her with the key, and able to leave, but we don't know if she left. And it's kind of hard for me to think that Birdie is the widow, because there was many times when the widow was out slaying in the night, and she was held up in the room at her sick ass twisted sister's house. So I don't think it's Birdie, but I could definitely be wrong. And then we know that Mrs. Simcone is with the Pastor May Jr., and he just got stabbed. Maybe them two were the widows. It has to be two of them if there is. But now it's only Mrs. Simcone because Pastor is stabbed. But I don't know. At first, before he got stabbed, I was really considering that the Pastor May Jr. was possibly the widow. But I wasn't. I was on the fence. I'm like, he was a suspect for sure on my list. But after him getting stabbed, I don't know. I mean, he did get stabbed because, the mortician Israel had to fix him up before she met her demise at the edge of the widow's hatred. And so, yeah, I don't know. Those are all of them. If I would flip a coin, I'm in this for the ride. I don't really want to know who the widow is, and I'm not going to tell you who I know it is for a fact. But I think it would be kind of cool if it was the ghost. You know, I'm in the haunted basement, so that would be pretty fucking sweet if it was a ghost, but I don't know how it would go over with the fans out there or the story overall. But again, you know, it's probably George and Shanika, and Shanika's out there, you know, doing this killing while George is away, so it's a good alibi for George. And so definitely high on the suspect list is going to be Shanika and George, and then I want it to be Basil Garvey, to be honest with you, because how these slasher, finals end, you know, the bad guy usually wins, if I remember right, in season 3. So, um, yeah. So thank you all for joining me in the Haunted Basement Studio. Oh, hell no. I had to jump back in here and let y'all know who is the killer, who's the widow. We got Basil, that could very well be it. We got George Rondone and Shanika that are fucking on top of the list. And we also got Regina Simcone. She can be it, or maybe her body is being taken over by Margaret Maher's ghost, and that she is the widow. There's no one else. I mean, can it be Verdi? I don't think it can be Verdi, because if you want to go through the timelines when people were being killed, she was, you know, encapsulated by either her sisters or Basil. You say it, tomato, tomato, who gives a fuck? But yeah, I guess I would have to say that. Oh, is there anybody else? Is there anyone else that it could be? And dude, I don't think it would be somebody that we've seen like in the background, like the deputy that had a few lines in one and then a few lines in another episode. That deputy with the hat, Mr. Rondon, you'll get your chance soon enough. That fucking guy. And it can't be the shop owner. I mean, fuck, how stupid would it be? I really hope they don't do that, but I don't want to. I want to see those list of like 8 characters that I've given. It's got to be one of them. Like, I don't want to look at those other side characters that were here and there, and could have been the pasture, and now he stopped. But see, the pasture was laying on the bed after getting operated on when the mortician Israel got killed on the last episode. So we got on Thursday night, we're gonna have episode 7. So we're gonna see where this fucking can play out. Yeah. All right. It's probably, I don't know. It's gonna be, I can't tell you, but it's gonna have to be either George Rondone and Shanika, or it's Basil getting rid of all those motherfuckers that know what he did in the past to Margaret Mahern. Are they really going to go supernatural? And it could be Margaret Mahern herself, ghost taking over Regina Simcone. Or it could just be Regina Simcone herself, fucking found out what her husband Allison did, fucking as the Ripper 12 years ago. And then now she is fucking going around town and killing off people. But she was over there trying to help all the kids and stuff and want to give to the devil's elbow and make everything good. All right, man. So that was long enough. Back to your regular scheduled program. So, and tell me who you think the widow is. And, right or wrong, who cares, man? We got 2 more fucking awesome episodes, and let's enjoy it because this is the only horror we're fucking getting in May. And remember to stab that like button with the sub, just like the widow does, Michael. Laters.